Grand rising to all of my kings and queens doing tremendous things. I am Altitude, representing building the minds, the hip hop workshop, and I'm renovating minds one rhyme at a time. And today, I'm gonna be talking about something super important. I know you've seen the title of this particular video. We are talking about being single is a blessing. Without any further ado, this is episode 17 of SoundCheck. Let's get into it. 1. I appreciate everybody on this channel that's rocking with me, liking, comment, sharing, subscribing, all that jazz. It's a small community, but it's an intimate community, and we're building this thing slowly but surely. So just want to make sure that I don't take any one of y'all for granted. I appreciate y'all watching and listening and sharing all that jazz. And without any further ado, we are talking about being single is a blessing. Why would I say that? The reason I say being single is a blessing is because it gives you a chance to realize who you are and what you are while you have the time to yourself to do so. So many times we rush into relationships, we rush into circumstances. We grow up with our parents and our siblings, and when we move out, we can't afford it right away, so we get roommates and all this other jazz, and we don't have the time to bask in our singleness. And I'm not talking about our bachelor phase or our bachelorette phase. I'm talking about being completely in your sanctum, being completely within your stillness to understand and understand who you are and what you are as a person. So I got 5 categories I want to break down for this topic, and I hope y'all enjoyed the content. And these are just some things that have been weighing on my heart, and I think that it's really important that we talk about it. So without any further ado, let's get into the 5 points that I have about singleness being a blessing. Point number 1, learn yourself. What do I mean by that? For me, I'll use me as an example, a perfect example. This place that I currently live in now is the first place. I live in an apartment. This is the first place that I have ever had to myself. This place, I'm 33 years old, and this is the first time that I've ever lived on my own. I've either grew up in a single parent household with my mom, my dad wasn't there, and my brother was already married, living in Houston with kids, all that jazz. So technically it was like I was an only child, even though I had an older sibling. He was already grown out the house by the time I was born, right? So boom, grew up with my mom. Right out of college, I get roommates. I've had 4 roommates in totality. I lost my job, moved back in with my mom just to save some extra money, right? So opened up a savings account, started learning how to save and budget with my money and plan things out with my money, because like I've said in previous videos, you always want to put yourself in a situation where no matter what happens, you'll be okay. Like payments come up, you'll be okay. You lose your job, you'll be okay. You have a cushion, you have contingency plan, you have money to fall back on while you set yourself up for new beginnings. So always had roommates. After the last roommate situation, I moved back in with my mom. And when I was 32 actually, last year, 2020, I moved out on my own. So this is the first place, I'm 33 now. My birthday was this past March. This is the first place that I've ever had completely to myself. And the feeling is amazing. The feeling of being on your own, not being under anyone's rule, under anyone else's house, under anyone else's domain, but to be in your own stillness, in your own sanctum, to do what you want, when you want, and have things how you want them, is a blessing that a lot of people need to experience, that everyone needs to experience for themselves. You budget accordingly. You find something that's affordable within your means. Don't live outside of your means to impress somebody else, but live comfortably and design a place that is completely you. And that's what I have here. And the reason I say learn yourself is because you get the time to see the things you like and don't like. I've always been in and out of relationships or in and out of different situationships and entanglements since high school. I've never taken the time to be single and understand me for me. It's always been with my mom, with roommates, with a partner that I was dating. Like, I've never taken the time to be completely alone and immersed in myself. So take the time to learn yourself while you're single. Don't talk to anybody. Don't date anybody. Take the time to know you for you. Who are you? What do you like to do? Learn a new trade. Learn a new skill. Teach yourself things, DIY projects, different things like that. You may find out that you like to do DIY projects. You like to do decor. You want to go into real estate and you never even thought about it before. There's different things that you can do. You may find out that you're a top-notch chef and you never went to culinary school. You just like to cook. You binging Food Network channels and now you cooking in the kitchen, but you never did that until you got out on your own. Learn things about yourself that you never knew about yourself and then grow daily from there. Point number 2, become whole on your own. The reason I say that, every time we get in a relationship and we think we found our soulmate, what's the first thing you say to somebody? I think you complete me. Let me tell you something like this. Whoever my future wife is, my future companion is, if she says I complete her, we have way bigger issues than who drunk the last orange juice out the fridge. You know what I'm saying? Like, you need to be complete before I met you. And that doesn't mean be perfect, because none of us can be perfect. Perfection doesn't exist. The art of being whole and complete means that I know who I am. That's why I said start out with learning who you are first. Because a lot of times when we break up with someone, the relationship dies, and then it's time for us to go back on our own, go our separate ways, we forget who we were in the first place. I don't know who I am outside of this person. I don't even know what I like to do outside of this person because I spent so much time caring for them, worrying about if they're good, worrying about, different things like that. And at the end of the day, we should be focused on who am I? What do I like to do? Where do I like to go? Different things. Do I even want to be in the state that I'm in, let alone date somebody in the state? What if I want to move to Colorado? What if I want to move to Cali, Florida? What if I want to move out of the country? Is dating someone even feasible right now? Because what if we get in a relationship and they know I want to leave the country, but they don't? That's a divide right there. So learn about yourself, point number 1. And point number 2, become whole first. Don't wait to get in a relationship for someone to complete you, because that's backwards thinking. That's backward motion, and we need to be going forward. If you have 2 complete people that come together and agree on their goals at the beginning, nothing can divide them. Because at the end of the day, you have 2 whole companions coming together to form one, but at the same time, when they're apart, they know who they are. There is no you walk in the room and you see altitude, but you don't see my wife. There is no you walk in the room and you see my wife, but you don't see me. You don't see Jeff. No, it's I know who she is, I know who he is, and together I know who they are. So be whole first before you decide to be completed by somebody else, because someone else cannot complete you, because they are not you, even though y'all are together. And that's where a lot of divide comes in when it comes to relationships. So while you're single, learn yourself and be whole first while you're in this quiet space, while you're in your oasis, your sanctum. Be whole before you be with someone else. Point number 3, happiness is an inner function. For me, I am immersed in music, immersed in creating, immersed in reading, immersed in so many different things that I was not able to do fully while living with someone else. So while I was living with my mom, it would be like I would create, but I would wait for her to go to work to create. And then when she gets home, it's like, all right, I'll put the creating on pause until she goes to work again, or she goes to the store or whatever. And then I can immerse myself again. Same thing with roommates, because either they have somebody over, they're loud, the TV's going, music's blasting, whatever. So it's hard to create in a space where there's a whole bunch of different factors going on, and I can't control the full 100% temperament of my environment. So what I love to do in the morning is put on a pot of tea, meditate in the morning, water my plants on the patio. I'll probably work out a little bit on the patio, get some things like that going, some cardio, some weightlifting going, and fully immerse myself in stillness. And so for me, I was never able to fully do that while living with someone else. So while I'm in this space, I have been able to find my happy place while being in my own spot. And for me, happiness is an inner function that you cannot get from the outside world. You can't get it from a person. You can't get it from a possession, a material thing. It's something that comes from within once you're on your own and you recognize who you are. I'm not worried about what other people got going, because I've already prepared my mind for what the world has to throw at me. So therefore, it can never knock me off of my square. Happiness for me is my sword training. Happiness for me is meditating. Happiness for me is reading. Happiness for me is creating with the pen and pad and putting words together to do music. Happiness for me is doing all of the things that I love 100% of the time and not being interrupted while doing so. When I come in from work, I can create. There's no one here. When I wake up in the morning, I can create. There's no one here. If I wake up in the middle of the night, 3 in the morning with an idea like, oh snap, let me write this down, or let me create this before I forget it, I can do that at 3 in the morning, no problem, because there's no one here to distract me. And that's why being single is also a blessing, because your happy place should be your single place, your alone time, your sanctum. This should be the best place for you to succeed. Not saying that you can't succeed and flourish with a partner, but at the same time, your singleness should not be wasted. Happiness is an inner function that should be learned at the foundation of your singleness. Point number 4, maximize your singleness. This kind of goes back to what I was talking to earlier about learning yourself and becoming whole. But what I mean by maximizing your singleness, learn a skill, learn a trade, get a certificate, teach yourself something new that you weren't doing before. If you've been working in warehouses for the past 10 years, how about teaching yourself a new skill while you're single? It's harder to do it when you're married. It's harder to do it with kids. Not saying it can't be done. I know plenty of people, my own friends included. I know plenty of people that have done it. But they always say, I wish I did it years ago when I was single, because it was 10 times harder. Even though they succeeded in doing it, going back to school or getting a trade or getting a new job in their field, whatever the case may be, or starting their own business, becoming entrepreneurs, whatever the case may be, they succeeded in doing those things, but it was harder because you have to put others before yourself. You have to put your spouse first. You have to put your kids first. You have to make sure that they have a roof over their head and clothes on their back and food on their table. But while you're single, and it's just you, maximize that joint. Being single is a blessing. And being single could be the best time and the best opportunity for you to maximize your growth, because you don't have to put others before yourself. It's not about being selfish. It's about being aware of yourself in order to know that I can do anything that I put my mind to, and I have less of a struggle to do so because I am in this place of stillness. My singleness is not my selfish season or my season to turn up. No, my singleness is a time for me to be at peace and at one with myself so that I can prepare my future self for what is meant for me. It's all about perspectives, and it's all about switching the dynamics of how you look at things. It's all about the optics and the aesthetics of how you look at your situation. So just make sure that you do that. And the last point that I have to get to, please, please, please date with intention. I'm not even gonna break this down too much. All I'm gonna say is maximize your singleness. But if you choose to date, please make sure that you date with intention. Please make sure that you do not go from body to body and creating soul ties with different people just because you're in a state of singleness. First off, that's nasty. Second off, you create soul ties. Third of all, you have a high risk of disease. You have a high risk of damaging your own life and the person that you are screwing over by going from bed to bed. Please do not do that. Date with intention. Date with purpose. Date with holiness. Date with the idea that I don't want to waste my time or yours, because I always say that you can put two good people together. That does not mean that they are good for each other. Date with intention, date with purpose, date with holiness, and date with the intention of not screwing over the person that you are seeing. Never put someone in harm's way, because you want to do unto others as you want done unto yourself. So always date with intention. So without any further ado, I'm not going to hold y'all up too much longer. I just wanted to go over those points because I thought that was important for this episode of SoundCheck. This has been episode 17. Being single is a blessing. I hope y'all enjoyed the video. Like, comment, share, subscribe, all that jazz. And without any further ado, I will see you guys when I see you guys. Peace and one love.